Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do a mid to high fade, and we're going to take that line right about here, and we're going to drop it in the back just like that. We're going to keep it right below his occipital bone. We're going to put the hair up in clips, just to keep those long hairs away. Sometimes you might want to start on top, depending on the haircut, depending on your cut style. So now we're going to put in our first guideline. Now, some people like to put the line in like this, how I'm doing so. This does make a bit of a harder guideline. It will be a little more difficult to actually fade that line out, but I love to do it like this. I've just always done it like this, but you could put in the line the same way I'm doing the trimmer here. So the same way I'm using the trimmer, you could make the line like that. It would make it a lot easier. I like to put it straight in. And here we're just taking out the bulk of the hair with the Andes Slimline Pro. That's the trimmer I like to use. This is probably my favorite trimmer that I've ever used. And I'm telling my client something right now. I'm talking a lot during this haircut. So you want to get rid of all this bulk. I like to use the trimmer because I am going to come back onto the bottom of the scalp there with my foil shavers. And I'm going to make it a complete bald fade. And here I come in with the Andes foil shavers. And we're just going to start shaving in an upwards motion. As you get about an inch towards that first line, the first guideline that we made, you want to start using down strokes. And you can see I'm starting to use down strokes once I get to about an inch to the line of demarcation, to the guideline. And those down strokes with the foil shaver, those will help fade in that line. And remember, you don't always have to do this short of a fade. This is just a preference of the client. If you want to do a 0 just with the clipper, that's also an option. So I'm going to get a 1.5 guard here. Actually, no, I think that might be the 2 guard. Is it? No, that's my 1.5. So we're going to put a straight line right there with the 1.5 guard. We're going to keep the lever open. And you see how we're going to drop it right on the back there? So this is going to follow parallel to that first guideline. So you want to make sure if you're ever doing... And I'm just explaining right there with my finger. I was pointing at the tip of the blade. I was trying to say you want to lead with the right side of your blade if you're going left to right. And you see I'm leading with the left side of my blade right here when I'm going right to left. And we're doing nice C strokes. So you can see right here the motion I'm going is a nice C motion. That's going to help us get a nice blend. When we're debulking here, it's going to help us just get a bit of an easier time like blending in the top with the fade. So here I closed the guard, I closed the lever. So now we're at a complete closed lever with the 1.5 guard. And I'm staying right underneath the line that I just created. And here we're going to do some clipper over comb. Nice and simple. And with angles, regarding angles on your comb, that all comes with practice. I like to go a pretty low angle. I don't go too crazy. And I also like to use my clipper like this in a downward motion. Because if you think about it, a lot of the hair is growing downward, so it's going to be a little easier to debulk a lot of this and blend it in at the same time by using down strokes. A lot of people don't like that technique, but I love it. It works really well. That's the nice thing about cutting hair. You can try things and see if it works for you. If it does, then you can keep doing it. If it doesn't work, you can try a different technique, different method. That's the beautiful thing about cutting hair. As long as you're getting the job done and it looks good and you got the shape right, I think you can cut hair the way that you want to cut hair. And you can see right here, I'm just continuing on with debulking a lot of that hair. You can see quite a decent amount coming off. And we're just kind of creating the foundation for that fade, right? So now I'm going with my 2 guard open. There you go, it's open. And we're just gonna go right above the 1.5 that I did and my clipper over comb. And that's just gonna help kind of blend in that bulk. And you can already see it's getting a lot cleaner. And these clippers are my favorite clippers. The seniors. The wall seniors. And they're the stainless steel edition. So they have the stainless steel housing. A little heavy, but I like it. Here I'm explaining we need to go 1 inch above that original guideline. And we're going to make our second guideline here. And this is with the lever open. So we have no guard on the clipper and the lever is open completely. And we're going to go about 1 inch and create a line parallel to our original guideline. And we're also gonna, you see how the blade is parallel to the original guideline? You want to make sure that's always even and always parallel. And you can see how I'm angling that out just a little bit, right? And right here, I just completely closed the lever. So I'm going in with a complete closed lever and we're just hitting the bottom part of that first guideline. And now I'm just opening up a little bit and moving up just a little bit. I'd say not even not even a centimeter. So these are quite small increments that you're going to be working with. And you want to think of each guideline as like 3 different steps in it, right? Each time you open that lever, you're going to be going a little higher until you get to that full open lever. And there I opened it 1/4. Sometimes another 1/4. Some guards will actually have notches on them. And I opened it up another 1/4 and moved up a little more. And I'm still staying underneath that guideline that we created. We don't want to go higher than that guideline. So now we're going to go in with the 0 guard or the half guard. I believe Wall calls it a half guard and Andy's calls it a 0 guard, I believe. Actually, sorry, this is the 1 guard. The half guard will be the next step. But we're doing an open lever. I pretty much always start with an open lever when I'm creating my guideline. And we're just going to work all the way down to the occipital. Keeping in mind the shape of the back of the head there. We don't want to go high. We don't want to go too high and ruin the back of the back of the head. We want to keep that shape nice and straight up. We want to keep it square. Excuse me. So now we're closing that 1 guard. And again, we're staying right below the line that we just created. It's kind of the same process through all of the guards. Don't make it harder than it has to be. It's not easy, but you can make it simple. And then you'll get better at it. So this is the half guard or the zero guard. I believe Andy's calls it a zero guard. And we're gonna stick it right on that bottom line. That's our last line that we need to fade in the rest of this fade. And we're keeping the lever open. Remember, lever's always open. And we're just keeping in mind that we're staying right on that line. We're going just above that line, but not by very much. You don't want to go into the one guard territory, the one guard area that you created. You do not want to go into that spot. And you can see a lot of it's already blended quite nicely. So we're going to close the lever completely, and we're going to hit just that bottom line right underneath it, just to blend it in, and we're flicking it off right when we hit that line. And here I'm doing a little bit of lever play, so I'm going to open the lever again and just slowly move higher every time I open the lever. And I opened it a little bit more, and I'm going to move a little higher on the fade. A little trick I like to do if I see a dark spot, and I'm going to open the lever again and continue. If I see a dark spot higher up in the fade, I generally like to open my lever or go a guard up. And if I see dark spots on the lower parts of the fade there, then I would generally use something that would be shorter. So I would close the lever, or I would use a shorter guard. And here we're just still doing lever play. So I'm putting it back to half of my levers closed there. And I'm pointing out a couple of spots there. And I'm closing the lever completely because you can see how low those spots are, right? And remember, I said the lower the spots, the more closed that lever is going to be. And I think that's looking pretty good. There's some dark spots. I think I'm going to use the shears for this part, if I remember correctly. So yeah, these areas right here, I'm going to use some shear over comb. Now keep in mind, you can see the way I'm holding my shears here is not correct. You want to make sure that your shears are parallel with your comb. The reason I'm doing it, and right here, this is a little trick that I like to do. I like to point cut basically right into the dark spots. Anyway, it is not parallel. The shears are not parallel to the comb. You want them to be parallel. The only reason I'm doing that is because if it was parallel to the comb, my arm would kind of cover the camera. So I just want you guys to see. But that's a general rule. You want to be parallel to your comb. So here we're taking out the clips. Sometimes I like to wet down the top of the hair, just to get rid of the creases that the clips create. So right here, we're just going in with the Slimline Pro, and we are making a guideline right at the top of his earlobe. And that, wherever you put that line is all preference. Depends what kind of fade they want, what kind of fade you're gonna do, if you're gonna do it high, if you're gonna go low. So right here, I'm just hitting that area with the foil shaver. And with the comb there, I'm just showing you where I'm going to go with my first line, with my guideline. Sometimes I'll say line of demarcation. I just mean guideline. And we're going to hit it right about there with the open lever. So this is open lever. No guard. And then we're going to go in with the 1.5 guard with an open lever as well. Oh man, I feel like I said lever like 18 times. So here, closed lever. I don't want to say it anymore. Closed lever with a 1.5 guard. And we're just working right below that open lever guideline that we created right in the beginning. I typically like to fade out my first guideline right at the end. So here we're putting the 1 guard on. As you can guess, open lever. And we will fade right in between the last 1.5 guard that we did and the first open lever no guard that we did. And here I'm just closing that lever slowly each time. And here we're going to go with the half guard. And this is open lever as well. Right above the 1 guard that we just did. And we're basically just working our way up. Same steps that we did on the fade on the head, but you can think of it like this is backwards, right? And right in that spot, right below our last line, I was just kind of pulling the skin so I could get some nice tension there. And right there, I was wiping off the back of the blade so that when I go back in with my open lever here, I don't get a bunch of stray hair all over the place. So here you can see I closed it halfway. And I'm going in all different angles here because his beard hair grows in a bit of an angle. And I'm closing the lever all the way. And I'm just hitting that top line right there. And then I'm slowly going to open it and work my way down. And that is lever play. And you can see it's quite faded already, but just to make it a little cleaner, I'm going to hit it with the Slimline Pro right at the top of that original line that we created. And this makes a big difference. If you just take 2 seconds, clean up that little bit of hair, it'll just make that gradient super nice, and you can see it. Nice gradient fade. So now we're going to comb out the beard. We're going to shape it up. We're not going to do too much to the shape of the beard or the length. We're going to just shape it basically. And you can see I like to use freehand methods here to shape the beard up. Sometimes I like to wash the beard. And then I like to put a little bit of beard balm in it and blow dry it with like a small Denman brush. And that'll help all the hairs kind of stick out and really give you a nice view of what the hair looks like when it's freshly washed, freshly blow dried. It's going to make all the hairs stick out to their full length, and then you're going to be able to get a really nice clean beard trim. But his beard didn't need it too much. It's not too long. And right here you can see I'm combing those hairs down because they kind of grow upwards a little bit. So you want to keep that in mind when you see, especially around the neck, the bottom of the neck there, you usually will see a lot of different directions. So right here, what I'm showing you is how the white towel can really help you see the shape of the beard, and it'll help when you're shaping the beard. So you see that difference? So I like to put that white towel right there, and then my line of sight is right at that arrow. And when I'm looking down toward that white towel, I can see everything. And it's so much easier for you guys to shape up the beard if you just put a white towel right underneath your beard. It helps a lot. And if they have like a blonde beard, I would use a black towel probably. You can see right here, I am just slowly chipping away. And we're just gonna shape that up nicely. Take your time. There's actually a piece here. I think the camera died and I didn't notice, and I missed like half of the bottom of the lineup. So I apologize in advance. You're gonna miss about half of it, but luckily I noticed halfway through and I still got the other bottom half of his beard. And you can see here, we're not taking a huge amount off, right? We're just kind of shaping it up. Just making it, giving it a bit of a square look. Not super, super angular though. We're still keeping it not too crazy. And you can see this is where I missed like half the beard, you guys. I'm sorry. But at least I can show you this. And I am using talc powder on my trimmer. So I have it on my hand there. I'm going back, dipping my running blade into the talc powder, and you can see it running off right there, running off my blade. I find the talc powder, oh my god, I can't speak. The talc powder helps kind of guide where my line is going. And it's a really, really, really sick trick. I love using it. I suggest you guys at least try it for like a week, because you get better at it. It's kind of hard to explain, but at first it feels like it's not working, and then it gets a lot easier to use. And you'll kind of see a little bit of the effect when I do the backside of his beard. And he is talking a lot, but I've been cutting his hair for a long time, so it's I know that he's not super expressive when he talks, and he doesn't move a lot, so I don't mind that he talks like while I do his beard. But if you guys have clients who move a lot, just tell them to sit still for 2 seconds while you do these parts. So you can see right here using the talc powder, and you can see that heavy white line that it leaves behind. And it really does help, because then you can go back with your blade, or you can go back with your foil shaver and just shave everything behind that white line. And this is a really good hack if you're doing like an Instagram story or something like that, and you're doing it from your phone. These white lines make everything look insanely clean, insanely crisp. And they actually help a lot. It's kind of, think of it like a rough draft before you hit it with your blade, right? And you'll see it right here. It works really well when you do it on the top of the beard, on the lineup on the chin, or the cheek, sorry. And I kind of just use it like a little rough draft. You guys let me know in the comments if this is too bright. Like, is the screen too bright? I feel like it's a little bright, and I'm getting talc powder all over his head. And I like to use it here for the lineup as well. And you can see it works really well. And it kind of dries up the skin too. And if you know anything about doing beards, drying up the skin a little bit, it actually helps. And right here, we're just doing the mustache. Gonna trim it down. I feel like it's out of focus, and I did not notice. Sorry, guys. We will make sure that does not happen. It's focusing on his cape. But you see right there, I'm making sure I trim down the bottom of the lip there. And then I'm just going to follow that corner of his mustache, the corner of the lip, all the way to the middle. And you see how I'm using my hand on his chin as a bit of like a kickstand, like a stabilizer? That will help you guys tremendously. You see how I'm using the back of my hand? I'm holding it on his chin. And that's going to help you guys a lot, because it'll stabilize the movements, and you're not going to be like hovering in the air trying to be completely still. And so see the difference here? And we're just going to go ahead, clean this side of the mustache as well. I don't think I got an angle on that side. It never hurts to double check. And yeah, you can see right there, I missed a little bit of the shape there. It was a bit pointed right on the bottom of his beard. And I noticed right at the end. And I cleaned it up. There we go. Yeah, pretty nice shape. We're going to use a Prairie Boys beard oil. This is a local Edmonton, Alberta product. Made in Canada. Favorite beard oil. I like to use this right out of the shower. Directly out of the shower, put some in. You could use it daily though, like you don't have to come straight out of the shower, but I like to use it after the shower and then blow dry my beard with it. But you can use it daily use, rub it in. This is the way that I was talking about how you could blow dry the beard. Using a small Denman brush just like this. And just giving it a nice, clean blow dry. And now we're just going to finish it off with the straight blade. So this is shaving gel. And you don't necessarily have to use the hot towel, but I'm going to use a hot towel. Flip it directly over your hand. Directly in half. And then over the face. Flip the right hand over. And then the left hand after it. This is my favorite way of doing a towel. And let them breathe. And then do these hand movements. For no reason. Okay. So here we're just going to use the straight blade. And the straight blade takes practice. When I first started using the straight blade, I was terrified. 13 years ago, I was scared as heck to use the straight blade. And nobody in the industry was using straight blades. So when I started using straight blades, every person with a beard came by and they would see me. And that's how I got so much practice with the straight blade. And trust me, I messed people up. Like, I mean, not that bad, but I messed a couple guys up. You can see here, I'm stretching that skin. Nice stretch. Think of the stretching when you're doing this like when you're vacuuming a carpet. If you don't hold on to the end of that carpet, it's just going to go all over the place. You're not going to have that tension, right? So you want to stretch and hold the end of that carpet when you're vacuuming it. So you want to stretch it and you get that nice tension and then you get that crisp line. And here I'm even getting him to blow his cheek out full of air. And then there, I told him to relax it because that angle right in that area can actually cut them. So you want to be careful when you're doing the straight blade on the face. But look how nice it can come out. Once you actually get a lot of practice with it, it looks quite good. So we'll use the Loma, the curvy cream. And with the Loma cream, you could let this air dry, but I am going to diffuse it. I hope you guys like this tutorial. I'm going to do a ton of these in the next couple months. I'm going to do a bunch of them, just knock them out every week, probably twice a week. And I really hope you guys like this video. Please like it, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell button on the bottom. And I hope you guys have a really good day. I'll see you guys next time.